So I figured out why people don't, or one specific person, though, doesn't like my videos about race realism. It's because I try to take, a very sane path, and I'm not on the side of, I believe in race realism, or just completely rejecting race realism altogether in favor for some sort of socially constructed idea. Now, this person is claiming that I'm a postmodernist because I give no evidence. Okay, when I made my initial video, it was called My Thoughts on Race Realism, meaning it was coming from my own brain. It was coming from what I knew. And yeah, I was using specific examples. How is problem solving and for instance, making boats, that's a very complicated problem-solving type situation there. Now, when you make a boat, you have to cut down trees. So you have to be able to make tools to cut down trees, which means you probably, odds are, need some sort of either handheld, tool, like something made of flint, for instance, would probably might be strong enough to cut down a tree. Depends on the type of wood, I would suppose. But, they used flint for, like, a lot of their weapons and their tools, cutting tools, and all sorts of things was made out of flint. So they have to at least be able to cut trees down. And you have to be able to figure out how to make a tool to do that. And then you have to be able to shape the wood in some way, either through carving it out, and this is one way that you can make a ship or a boat is through carving it out. As time went on, and the boats started being made out of different planks, and so you needed more trees, and you had to work with people and come together. This is a specific example, you dumb motherfucker out there. You're saying I'm postmodernist because I won't give you any specific examples. I'm sorry. Boat building is a very specific example of how behavior can affect your genetics. It's a problem-solving situation. If you have people on the coast and they're actively trying to invent and create new types of boats, and boats didn't start off just being giant. It evolved over time, and the people had to use their problem-solving abilities to do this. And yeah, what you do in your life affects your genetics. I don't understand. This is a very simple, very moderate sort of position where I'm saying that it's not just genetics. Genetics does play a part. It's about a third of it, but behavior also plays like a third of it, and environment also plays like a third into it. It's not that I don't think that there's genetic variation like these motherfuckers seem to be suggesting. It's that I'm not for race realism, because from my understanding of race realism, it's the differentiation between races and the idea that one race is superior to another based on their race. I don't like that idea. I'm not superior to a black person because I'm white. And a black person's not superior to me because they're black. Okay? This is my point. You have individuals who come in and they have different genetic variation within even the same group of people, within even the same race. I'm white. I'm the Caucasoid race. Race is it's just such a stupid fucking thing. Race is just such a I'm so pissed off right now about race. Like, I cannot believe that there's these racist motherfuckers out there who actually think that race matters. As if race is some overarching fucking concept that you need to bow down to. Like, go fuck yourself, you asshole motherfucker. God, fucking retards. No. But, you know what? This person, I don't blame them because of their race. The person that I'm very, like, I blame them because they're stupid. They're fucking dumbass motherfuckers. And they're refusing to listen to a word that I said. They're refusing to think, to open their mind, to contemplate the fact that, maybe it's not 100% genetics. Race realism, I believe, puts people into boxes. It says, oh, you're sub-Saharan African? Well, sub-Saharan Africans on average are stupid. Sub-Saharan Africans on average have an IQ of 70. That's pretty fucking retarded. So, obviously, as a sub-Saharan African, you're fucking retarded. But you motherfuckers, do you realize that not all sub-Saharan Africans are the same? 70 is the average. There are people above that, there's people below that. When you talk about averages, you're not talking about the individual. And so, yeah, I'm against race realism because I'm for individuality. Now, I do believe in the discrimination between cultures. The culture and race are not the same thing. This is the other piece of this, that this one asshole, this retarded motherfucker is, shitting on me for. What? Culture and race are different. The English culture and the German culture are different. Okay? They are different. They're from different environments. They were different groups of people who came together, and they've worked together to create their own individualistic culture. The Germans, they love having very neat lines in their construction. It's one of the things that my dad really likes about the German culture is their architectural stylistic stuff. Very straight lines. This is why, you see I don't want to bring up the Nazis necessarily, but, you see the Nazi pictures, straight lines. Just giant straight lines everywhere. They're very, very orderly people, okay? But that's one thing about their culture. However, they're part of the Caucasoid race, or, right? I don't know, whatever. They're Caucasian. So, I don't know where you go from there. They're Caucasian. They're both Caucasians, but the English and the German have very, very different cultures. You're not going to get, I don't know. I suppose Nazism or extremists like the Nazis can happen anywhere. But if it were to happen in England, it would have its distinct own style to it. It would not be the same thing as Germany. Look, even you go from town to town, each community has their own culture. If I go to London and I talk to all of the white English people there, and then I go up to a little, out in the farmlands and talk to people out there, the culture's going to be different. Now, when I talk about some cultures being better than other cultures, Western civilization is better. It's a better culture. And guess what? It's not just white people who have westernized civilizations anymore. The Asians have westernized. Parts of North Africa have westernized. Parts of the Middle East have westernized. Look at the Jews. They're westernized. Some of the countries in South America are becoming westernized. Westernization in Western society is the best culture. It's the best culture because it has actively tried to improve upon itself, and it is spread because it's a good culture. When you go over to South Korea, you're going to find westernized people walking around with smartphones attached to the internet, and very into all of the westernized sort of products and stuff. You go to fucking China, which they used to be communistic. They're becoming very westernized now because now they have a middle class even. And they can't have the sweatshops in China anymore. They have to export it to Africa. Culture can overtake race. Race is irrelevant to culture, okay? You can have people of the same types of group, and you separate them, they're going to develop their own cultures. They're going to develop separate cultures. And you bring them back together, they're still the same race, but they have different cultures. I live in North America. I live specifically in Oregon. If I were to go down to Texas, where there's other white people, plenty of other white people, and by the way, I have lived in Texas before, the culture would be so much fucking different than Portland. Do you understand that? The culture here is super liberal. The culture here is like, and I don't mean classical liberal. I mean, like the progressive liberals, and the regressive left. That's the type of people that I'm talking about here. You go to Texas, the culture's completely different. The culture is, big cowboy hats, boots, conservative. We don't want big government, no taxes. Up here it's like, oh my God, we have to pay for everything. The poor black people, Black Lives Matter. Oh my God. It's fucking stupid. Look, the fact is, the black community was doing way better in our society. They had a higher marriage rate and more stable family structure right after that slavery was ended. And the reason why it got so fucked up is because the US government started giving black women welfare. Welfare destroys the family unit. It's not a good thing. Single mothers can raise decent human beings, but it's more likely that your child's going to turn out to be a decent human being if they have a father around who imposes discipline upon them and teaches them why it's important to respect certain forms of authority. It has nothing to do with race. It has to do with what has happened historically, obviously. Does that mean that I am personally responsible or a white supremacist? Fuck no! And that's the thing. Why would I believe in racism? I don't believe in collective guilt. I don't believe that one individual is responsible for the group. I don't believe that one individual is representative of the entire group. I am more in favor of individual realism. I'm more in favor of cultural realism than I am for race realism. If you took race out of the discussion altogether, we would still be having these discussions. And that's how I know race doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if you were to go, instead of saying the black community, you could go say the inner city community of Detroit is not doing well. Why? Well, what's the culture of inner city Detroit? You look at the culture and because the thing is, you take a baby from inner city Detroit and you put them with a healthy, happy, wealthy family. Guess what? That kid's not gonna end up being a fucking gangbanger. He's just not. It has to do with both environmental, genetic, and behavioral things. Now, if you've got a gangbanger as a daddy, you might be more inclined to be more violent. That doesn't mean that you are going to be more violent. It just means that the tendency is more likely to be there because of epigenetics. Look, I talk a shit ton. I talk a lot. I get heated. I'm very sensitive. And one of the reasons why is because my dad's like this. I get this all from my father. He's ADD. He cannot sit still for 1 minute. He has to be constantly working on a project in order to feel okay. He likes to talk. He talks to himself. I talk to myself. It's partly genetic. And it's partly probably because he did that as a child as well. And I believe that when I have children, they're probably going to be extremely talkative. Maybe more so than me because I like to talk a lot. I am very, very talkative. And I like to discuss and share ideas. I do believe it's partly genetic. It's partly behavioral, because I watched my father and I saw, you know, how he behaved and stuff. So I'm sure part of it is because I grew up around him. But you have to understand that he wasn't around nearly as much as the average father. I don't say that to shit on him, by the way. I say that because he was in the military, and he would frequently go on, they call them temporary duty assignments, and or TDYs, and so sometimes he'd be gone for a month. Sometimes he would be gone for 2 months. I think the longest he was gone was when he was deployed to Afghanistan. I believe that was about 4 months. Another time he was deployed to Kosovo for about 3 months. The point is that there were periods of my life where I didn't have him around. And, I mean, I'm sure that affected me in ways emotionally that I will not get into. But the fact is that I'm not super duper talkative just because I was around him. I'm super duper talkative even though he was gone a great deal. And it has to be partially genetic. Of course it does. But I think, you know, you gotta throw the epigenetics in there. And this is a specific point, you motherfucker. This guy keeps saying I'm not making any specific points about why race realism is stupid, but I think I've made great points. Each individual has genetic variation between each other individual. Each race has different characteristics that happen to be somewhat present in all members of that group. For instance, you know, like, you take somebody who's very, very dark, or like a very, very dark sort of group from South Africa or Africa, some area in Africa. I don't know if this is the proper term. Oh, here, this is the right term. I was gonna say Nubian, but I know that's wrong. I say the reason why Nubian is in my head is because of when, you know, they had the land of Egypt, and I'm very interested in ancient civilizations, but the land of Egypt right below them, southern-wise, was the land of Nubia, and the Egyptians were not nice to the Nubians. They would enslave them and shit like that. Ethiopian is what I'm thinking of now. But so if you look at the Ethiopians, theoretically, if you call them a group of people or race, yeah, they're all gonna have dark-colored skin. It's a characteristic that happens to be common among that group of people. Now, is every single person going to have the same skin tone? Fuck no! They're all individuals. Is every Ethiopian going to have the same level of IQ? Fuck no! Is every Ethiopian going to be as strong? Fuck no! It's stupid. It's fucking stupid to base everything on race. And this is what makes me angry. When I talk about, you know, specific groups that have a higher IQ than other specific groups, like, for instance, if you take sub-Saharan Africans, they tend to have an average IQ of 70. That does not mean every sub-Saharan African has an IQ of 70. And this is a specific point. This specific point is really, really important. A person born in sub-Saharan Africa could have the IQ of 100 from the Western perspective. It could happen. And they might look around them and go, why am I so much more intelligent than the vast majority of the population? But the fact is that those types of genetic variations do happen within a population. Now, you can talk statistics, you can talk generalities, but that does not apply to the individual. And this is one of the reasons I have such a hard time with race realism. Race realism, to me, suggests that you can take characteristics from a specific group of people and apply them to the individual, and it will be accurate. It's not going to be accurate. It is not. You can make all the statistical guesses that you want, but you can't tell me how I'm going to turn out. You can't tell me how an individual child is going to turn out based on their race. You cannot say that. You take a child from inner city Detroit, you put them with a wealthy black family, assuming they're all black, because I know people get upset when white people adopt black children. Stupid motherfuckers. But you take that child out of the situation, it depends on what their ancestry was and who their parents were and how intelligent they were and if they pursued any sort of education in the past. But you take that person out, you're not going to know if they're going to be dumb or if they're going to be smart. You're not going to know if they're going to be violent or if they're going to be calm. You just don't know, because that person is an individual, and their genetics only plays a part in who they are as an individual. The surroundings, their environment, the community that they grew up in is going to have a huge impact on who they are as a person. Furthermore, the behaviors that they are taught by their parents is going to have an impact on them. And those behaviors and the environment they grow up in and what they need to do to survive in that environment is going to be passed down to their children through epigenetics. So if you take, a poor baby out of inner city Detroit, you put him with a rich black family, and maybe he struggles in school, maybe he's not the smartest person, but his parents are like, no, you need to at least finish high school. No, you need to at least go to trade school. And so this guy works his fucking ass off. He marries another, reasonably, say, average IQ woman, and they have a baby together, or maybe they have the same IQ. Let's just say they both have the same IQ. Okay, when they give birth to a child, odds are that child is going to be slightly more intelligent than his or her father. And the reason for this is because the father sat there, worked his ass off, and did something that was extremely difficult for him. Now, this is all in favor of individual realism. This is all in favor of judging the individual and not the race. I am so for the individual and so against the group. I don't think you understand. A group only has cohesion if there's a common culture. But race means nothing in that unless you make it about race. The kids in inner city Detroit are still going to have issues even if you ignore race. If you ignore race altogether, they're still left with shitty schools. They're still left with welfare mothers. They're still left with inner city crime. They're still left with fatherlessness. Those are issues that go beyond race. Now, if you want to say some of these behaviors might have genetic components, yeah, okay, I can buy that. But to base it race by race, this is fundamentally why I'm against race realism. It's because it's pointless. It's because you can take a sub-Saharan African who has an average IQ of about 100 in terms of Western ideas on IQ, and you can teach them. You can bring them over here. As long as they're not a violent person, they can start to adjust and assimilate into our culture. It has nothing to do with race. And I've met plenty of Africans. I've met plenty of Africans. They tend to be very, very happy people. You ever talk to like an Ethiopian guy? Very nice guy. Always very, very happy and jolly. And it's the ones who are able to actually get over here who tend to be higher IQ. Look, the United States doesn't just take in anybody. Okay, there's a process, and to become a naturalized citizen, you either have to marry in, or you have to be some of importance. You have to provide some sort of benefit to the United States. So I think it's especially stupid that we would be judging on race, considering we live in a spot where theoretically the most skilled and the most intelligent people from other countries are coming here. That's one of the big problems in different areas of the world right now, is that there is a flight of all the intelligent members of those groups or races are fleeing to westernized countries because there's so many more opportunities. Think, if you're a sub-Saharan African with the IQ of 120 and you're living around a bunch of violent ass people, or maybe backwards people, and you're like, I have no chance of making my life successful here because the culture doesn't allow for it, they might take off, head towards Cairo, head towards Europe. Okay? They're going to seek out a place that's more westernized, that has more opportunities, where they're going to be able to be successful and take care of themselves. But it has nothing to do with race. Nothing. Nothing to do with race. Are we genetically variable? Absolutely. But it's individual by individual. It is not racial. Look, I use white people as an example. We are all Caucasians, right? We're of the Caucasoid race. But am I as intelligent as Albert Einstein? No fucking way. Is my sister as intelligent as me? No, I'm more intelligent than my sister. That's just based off of IQ. And I'm not more successful than my sister. I'm poor, broke ass right now. And my sister is doing very well for her. She has a nice career. She has a good, stable family. She's had a baby, stuff like that. But the thing is that I probably have a higher IQ than her. I have more capacity to learn than she does. And she and I know this because she wasn't good at school. She doesn't like school. Part of it was not because she's unintelligent. Part of it was that she was lazy. But part of it is that she does have a slightly lower IQ than me. Now, is it somewhere around 100 or above 100? Yeah, probably. Because we live in a westernized civilization. And you have to understand that our father is an extremely intelligent person. And has also promoted, education upon us and stuff like that. But, you look at differences between family members. This is a great specific example. I have a set of 4 cousins. They are half Hispanic and half white. Now, obviously my uncle was white. Their mother was Hispanic. She's fairly dark Hispanic. Now, my cousins are a variety of colors. The oldest sibling, the oldest sister in the group, is extremely white. She looks like she has a lighter skin tone than I do. And I'm pretty fucking white. And she's got blonde hair, bright blue eyes. She's gorgeous. Very petite, small, bone structure and stuff like that. Gorgeous. Her sister, who is a year younger than her, is incredibly dark. Also gorgeous. Very petite bone structure. So they're sisters. They look similar when you look at their body structure, but if you look at their skin tone, they look like 2 different races. And if you talk to them, you start to talk to them and you get them together in a room and stuff, they'll start jabbing at each other and not shit talking, because they're not they're a little bit past that, but when they were younger, those girls used to beat the shit out of each other. They're sisters. They're full-blooded sisters, but genetically, there's so much variation there because of their mother was, obviously she's not full dark native Hispanic whatever. She obviously has some sort of white mixed in, otherwise the one cousin would not have bright blue eyes. But you know, like, you look at the cousins and they're varying shades of darkness, from extremely light to extremely dark. This is a specific example of what I'm talking about. It has nothing to do with race. And their different levels of intelligence has nothing to do with race. I have the sisters, they're incredibly intelligent. The one sister was studying to be a lawyer for a while. I think she settled for working with the state and doing being like a paralegal or something like that. Not settled, but she's incredibly intelligent. And her sister is also very intelligent, but more physically oriented. So guess what her sister did? This 5'1", incredibly petite, little dark girl would jump out of airplanes carrying heavy-ass saws, because she was in the fire rangers or whatever, like forest fires or whatever. She was in forestry or whatever, and that's how she met her husband. And you know, the two boys, one's very successful. He was in the military and now he works construction, and the other one hasn't been quite as successful. And so obviously the siblings, who are full-blooded siblings, each have their own genetic variation, each have their own level of intelligence, have their own skin tone. This is why I'm for individualism and not for racism. I mean, fuck, you look at me and my sister. I'm extremely light-skinned. My sister has this beautiful olive tone skin that I was always jealous of when I was growing up. And when she tans, my God, she's like an olive tone goddess. I swear to God. And she used to be extremely petite before she got a little older and her metabolism slowed and stuff. But the thing is that you put us side by side, you can tell by our facial structure that, yeah, we are in fact sisters. But when we were younger, we had extremely different skin tones. Now, she doesn't spend nearly as much time out in the sun anymore, so she doesn't quite have the same olive tone gleam. But if she were to go out and spend a lot more time in the sun, I'm sure she would get it back rather quickly. So there's your specific examples. The fact that somebody does not understand what I talk about with epigenetics is not my fucking problem. The fact that you don't have any understanding of what epigenetics is or what I'm trying to argue, not my fucking problem. Look, culture, not race. It's as simple as that. Ideology, not race. Genetic variation, not race. I don't know how to explain this anymore, but you can look at people with genetic variations between different groups without being racial, okay? You do not have to boil it down to race and say shit like black people can't have abstract thoughts so they can't tell time. No, that's fucking stupid. That is fucking stupid. That is so fucking stupid. You are categorically saying that all people in a group are the same, and I'm fundamentally arguing against that. See, racism is the non-discrimination between individuals. It's lumping an entire group together and saying that's it. The characteristics that are statistically relevant in the group, such as, say, an average IQ of 70, it means that all of them are like that. Every single one. And they have no ability to change. No, I don't agree with that. Every group, every group of people, and even species of animals have the ability to change genetically based off of the changes in their behavior and environment. So yeah, there's a genetic component, there is a cultural component, there's a behavioral component, there's an environmental component. Guys, it's not simple. This is why I'm against race realism. I can't even explain every single factor that there is in determining skin tone and intelligence, eye color, facial structure, bone structure. There are so many different factors. Like, fuck, the slant of Asian eyes. By the way, great day for freedom of speech. Recently, the Supreme Court decided that the slants, an Asian band, could trademark their name, even though it's bigoted. So fucking stupid. I have no respect for anybody who claims that one race is better than the other. They're just not. You can have cultures that are better than others, but cultures are made up of individuals. Cultures are not made up of races. I'm sorry. That's just not it. You can have an advanced civilization that occurred in Africa. Maybe, you know, it all depends on environment and whether or not you have enough resources and whether or not you have a population that's big enough to specialize in stuff. But you can get, you know, vast, giant civilizations in Africa if the environment's right. If there's enough peace, if there's enough people, if there's not a giant fucking epidemic of AIDS going on. How are these not specific examples? I want you to tell me that, you little trolley asshole. And yeah, the whole racism thing does piss me off. And this isn't virtue signaling. I just think it's fucking stupid. I think you're retarded. I think you are the dumbest motherfucker out there if you think that race matters. If you're not willing to look at every other factor out there and open your mind, you are a dumb, low IQ motherfucker. That's just what you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care your ethnicity. I don't care your culture. You are a dumb motherfucker if you can't understand that it's not all genetics, it's not all race. And all race is genetic variation. All it is differences. Variation. That's all it is. And guess what? There's variation between individual to individual. So why the fuck does the variation between race matter? If we don't count the variation between individuals as mattering. Why? I don't get it. So, you know what? My views aren't controversial. My views are probably the most fucking realistic way, the most rational, scientific way to think about intelligence, to think about race, to think about different groups of people, to think about individuals. And I will say this one more fucking time. Culture is not race. Race does not cause culture. Culture does not cause race. Culture is a byproduct of specific individuals getting together, working together, and developing a community together with traditions and stuff like that. Those traditions are not racially based. Unless it's something like, our culture is racist. We think we should kill all the blacks. Only racially based if you ideologically make it racially based. So, I don't care if you disagree with me. You're stupid. You're just dumb. And these people, they don't understand how to make any specific real criticisms of what I've said. They just focus on little details like, you're stupid for saying fish makes people more intelligent. Wasn't what I was trying to say. I was trying to talk about the nutrients in the fish that give a boost to the brain, and it being one reason why our brains would be developing faster or something. But this person doesn't want to listen to the whole argument about omega-3 fatty acids. They don't want to listen to any argument involving anything against race realism. All they want to do is argue that race is real, which genetic variation is definitely real. And I think, you know, you can say that different races are real, based off of maybe bone structure and skin tone, but I think that's about it. It's about it. It's just categories at that point. That's how I view it. I'm just so sick of the racism that I see every single day. You know, white people are white supremacists, they're racist. We should kill all the white people. White women should abort their babies. White men should give up their jobs to black women. Etc., etc., all this fucking racism. And then you have the fucking alt-righters who are like, what power, you know, behind their Pepe memes and, you know, the Kekistani flag and shit like that. Mind you, I'm Kekistani as well, but I'm not a racist. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not a white identitarian. I don't believe in white identitarianism. I think it's fucking stupid. I think people who base their identity on their race are dumb. They are so dumb. Your race has nothing to do with you as an individual person. And maybe this is my my classical liberalism, my libertarianism coming out in me, but I want all people to be respected. I want all people to be treated equally under the eyes of the law. I want all people to have the same rights as everybody else. And by rights, I mean negative rights, like the right to not be messed with, the right to not have your freedom of speech infringed upon, the right to not have anybody fuck with you when you try to make a living. I believe in those rights and that they should be accessible to every single citizen in our nation, regardless of race, regardless of ethnicity. It does not matter. You should be treating all people the same, and you should not be giving specific groups privileges either. Look, if a specific group is doing poorly, you work on the infrastructure of that town, okay? And I'm not saying dump pointless dollars in there either. I'm saying that if the government schools are fucking shit, you have to figure out a way to make the education system better. And preferably with not spending a shit ton of tax dollar money on corrupt government officials, okay? It just makes me angry. It just makes me so angry when it's so obvious that there are so many more factors to how an individual is going to turn out other than race. Look, we do need to discriminate between individuals. If a person is a shitty person, that's them. You can discriminate against shitty people. But it's pointless to discriminate based on skin color. It's pointless to discriminate based on bone structure. It's dumb to even discriminate, you know, in terms of the law between people of different IQs. You know, some dumb motherfucker in a trailer park somewhere, or some ghetto-ass rat hood in the inner city, they might be dumb as fuck, but they should still have the freedom of speech. The stupid rat gang member, or what, you know, hood rat gang member, or whatever, they can make all the rap music they want. They can talk about fucking bitches and being a gangbanger, and I respect their freedom of speech. Their freedom of speech should not be infringed upon. Also, that dumb motherfucker down in the trailer park with the Confederate flag, his freedom of speech needs to be respected. Now, I can look at that motherfucker and go, you're a racist motherfucker. I don't like the Confederate flag, which I don't care about the Confederate flag. It really does not bother me. I don't see people who put it up as racist. That's one of the liberal talking points that I do not agree with. But say he was yelling racist slurs too. He can be a racist motherfucker. But I can also discriminate against him and be like, you are a dumb racist motherfucker. But that's individual discrimination. I'm not going to look at him and go, the entire trailer park is like that. I'm not going to say that. And this is my point. My point is that race realism is fucking stupid. You need to have individual realism. You need to have maybe community realism. You need to have cultural realism. Okay? But race realism is stupid. There's too much genetic variation within the same racial group for it to be relevant. And that's really all there is to it. And if you don't agree with that, I'm sorry, then you don't understand anything that I'm saying. I really don't think you do. Because it's so clearly obvious to me what I'm saying is right. You know? That it's not just based on genetics. Yes, genetics play a part, but epigenetics plays a part too, and behavior plays a part, and culture plays a part, and education plays a part, and all of these different situations play a part. And some of it goes back and affects your DNA, and you pass down some of that, those behaviors, some of that, you know, intelligence and stuff like that. It's just what happens. It's individual diversity that matters. It's individual discrimination that matters, not race realism. Race realism is the most stupid thing ever, okay? And I don't know why anybody would believe in it. I really don't. So, if you don't think my examples are specific enough, even though I have used very, very specific examples, I don't know what to tell you. You must be dumb or something. That's all I can say. And if you don't agree with me, go fuck yourself. I don't care.